Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm Dani, and today Great.com talks with Chris Verdugo, the CEO of the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. If you haven't heard of it yet, their mission is to lead by creating extraordinary music and experiences that build community, inspire activism, and foster compassion at home and around the world. Before we begin, remember, if you're new here to this podcast, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. Now, hi, Chris, and welcome.
Hi, Danny. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here today.
I'm really thrilled to talk to you today. I always tell our listeners a bit of what goes on backstage sometimes. And one thing that I said to you is that I'm really hyped because we're going to talk about culture, art, and all of that, and queer cause. So it's going to be a special moment. Let's begin as we usually do, Chris, here, by talking about history, right? So can you share with us the history and founding story of the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus?
That would be my pleasure. It's really a storied history. We are an organization that is about to celebrate its 47th anniversary. We began October 30th, 1978, and that's an important date. 100 singers showed up to a rehearsal in the Castro, sort of the queer mecca of San Francisco. And it was an extraordinary number of singers to show up to the first rehearsal during that particular time, and in history. And a month later, we had our first public performance on the steps of City Hall when then Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk were assassinated. And we are very forthright by saying that in that moment, it wasn't just an artistic organization that was born, but it was also an activist organization that was born. And from that moment, November 1978 to this very day, our ethos, our mission is to create music and experiences that advance queer culture and really address queer issues head on. And we do that through the love of music and specifically our organization, choral music. But we're also so much more than that. So it's such a beautiful, tragic story in some ways. Yeah, but it is who we are. And so we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, of our founders, who at a time when it was not safe to be out and especially to take a stand, did so and did so proudly. So here we are 47 years later, still being sort of the standard bearer and, holding up to the fact that we are the first gay men's chorus to exist. So with that comes huge privilege, but also huge humility and responsibility.
And if I can add in this, I think it always comes a lot of strength, right? For being the first ones on this battlefield and actually shaping some change, right? Because I think this is, and I would like to quote something from your webpage. I think one of your pages says, changing the course of LGBT history through music. And I think this is so powerful and adds so much to what you have been saying. So let's just discuss this a little bit. How does the chorus now use music to advocate for LGBTQ plus rights and social justice? How that works?
Well, how we use it now is I can give you the most recent example. We spent about a week traveling through the Midwest on what we affectionately call the Love Tour. We traveled through Iowa, Nebraska, and Minnesota. We specifically chose the states of Iowa and Nebraska because combined they have over 70 pieces of anti-LGBTQ legislation on the books. And that legislation targets queer and trans youth. So that's the most recent example. We supported their community. We met with community organizations like Iowa Safe Schools, Out Nebraska. We connected and performed with their choruses. We raised tens of thousands of dollars for these organizations. And we're really able to use our brand and our platform to uplift the work and the struggles that those communities are facing. Here at home, we have a project called Rhythm, Reaching Youth Through Music, which has been in existence for about 6 years, where our Associate Director of Music Education and Community Outreach works with elementary, middle, and high schools to create a program that is really specific to their schools and the challenges that their queer students are going through at the moment. And then we bring in singers who perform, share their stories, sort of act as models of what's possible throughout the Bay Area. And the work of that program has really, it's really set us apart from other organizations here in the city to be able to take art and social justice into middle and high schools and to be able to support LGBTQIA students and show them what's possible. And through that, foster a sense of community and belonging for them and their allies in those schools. And so that's been one of the most, I think, rewarding experiences that we as an organization have been able to create for our community here in San Francisco. And as well as I think I shared with you a moment ago, I'm sitting in the country's first queer arts center. It opened October 30th on our birthday a year ago. And it is the first of its kind in the nation, a haven for queer artists and queer arts organizations to be able to feel safe, be able to incubate new works, to perform new works. And it's like nothing else that exists right now. And we thought it was so important that we, as the leaders of the LGBTQ choral movement, continue to lead. And while it is our home and it's where we rehearse and have our offices, it is so much more. And throughout the past 8 months of its existence, we have seen a number of queer artists come and perform, a number of queer arts organizations use it for rehearsal space, use it for meeting, and really filling a void that existed post-pandemic in San Francisco.
Wow, this is so beautiful, beautiful to hear. I think it's very, wow. It comes from the heart because we're talking about and from a place of sensitivity, right? Of actually being able to express yourself in the most loud, probably.
We're loud. Oh,
yeah,
we can get really loud.
But also,
Absolutely.
yeah, but also very intimate, right? I feel every time that we share a bit of our talent, a bit of ourselves, a bit of our art, we are sharing our experiences, our state of mind, our beliefs with everyone that is partnering from this moment with us. And with that, one, it's again amazing to hear that you guys have been doing this for almost 47 years now. And it brings me another question that is, when we look to everyone there is now in the chorus, right? Either singing or maybe part of the structure. How are you able to nurture and support their talents, not just in terms of musical abilities, but also personally, right? Because I have a sense that every time we talk to a queer organization or a queer related, we touch on this point about fostering identities, fostering what people have as their best, and then putting out in the world. So how do you guys work with this?
I'm going to try to be succinct because I could talk about this for a very long time. But let me first start with our name. We are the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. However, about 3 to 4 years ago, we intentionally set forth in changing who we were as an organization. So you don't have to be a gay man to sing in this organization. As long as you can sing within the tenor, bass, baritone range of our singers, you are welcome. You can be trans singer, you can be a non-binary singer, you can be a female presenting singer. It doesn't matter how you identify within this gender spectrum. As long as you can sing and sing well, that's the caveat. You are welcome as a member of the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. And that has been a huge shift for us because it's incredible to look at our singing membership, and we are over 250 singers, and see trans singers and see non-binary singers and see folks really on the entire gender spectrum and show up how they feel most authentic to who they are. And I feel in a very large way that is a way that we have been able to support and nurture our singing membership. I also say at its core, we are a chorus, we are a singing ensemble, but really we're a community. We're a chosen family. You walk in, and from the moment you become a singer at the San Francisco Gambling Chorus, you're welcomed into a family. And we have so many groups within the chorus to support one another. Uh, We have a sobriety group. We have the divas who fundraise for singers who perhaps can't afford the membership dues or can't afford their uniforms or can't afford to travel with us. We have the Easy Bake Coven who bakes for us. We have Forte who does all of the kind of membership engagement, the fun activities. We have a hiking group. I mean, the list goes on. We have a book club. It just goes on and on. All of this within the community. And so I find that like we do a really wonderful job of supporting and nurturing our artists because they are artists, all of them. And we do that, from a musical perspective as well, providing a number of opportunities for singers, either to express themselves through solos at concerts or performing in the two ensembles we have, Homophonics and Lollipop Guild. There are performance opportunities in small groups through our community events. We do about 60 to 70 community events throughout the year, especially during Pride and during the holiday season. And also, we help them to kind of expand their musical repertoire by doing a number of performance styles and genres within the chorus performance. Most recently we did a show called Drag Me to the Movies that had a lot of pop music, had some Broadway stuff in it. And then our most recent concert was with the San Francisco Symphony, which was very much rooted in the classical choral tradition, and it spanned 500 years of music. So there's an opportunity to expand your musical excellence within the ensemble. But I also think that you were able to really nurture our members and create a safe space where they can be exactly who they are, and they can be as loud as they want to be, and they can lift their voice in song, and they know that they're doing it to really advance a cause, and that is LGBTQ equality and social justice.
This is so, so, so powerful. And I love that we keep going back to the topic of community, right? About building a place where people feel welcome, they feel safe.
Yeah, because we know, and this harkens back to our founding, right? There was 100 singers who came together and created a community. And we know that in order to affect the change that we want to affect out in the world and in our San Francisco Bay Area community, we have to first be able to create that community within ourselves. So the compassion, the love, the kindness, the sensitivity, all of that is something that we have to nurture within our organization so that when we get on stage or when we're in the community, whether it be with our rhythm project or doing sing out or on tour through Iowa and Nebraska, we're able to share that and affect the change in those communities because it is something that it is who we are. It is what we are. And I think when we were on tour and people just kind of saw the camaraderie and the love between singing members and these artists, and they really got that this is who we are. We base everything that we do on love. Like that is a mandate from our artistic director and myself. Like, first, let's start with love. Love for yourself, love for one another, and love for community. And when you're there, you're going to create so much change in your families, with your friends, in your community, in the political landscape, and that's how we approach it.
I love to hear it. And I absolutely agree with you. I feel it needs to start within us, right? Within our community, within our peers. So then we have the strength to move forward. But Chris, we have been talking about all this great side of it, and they are great.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's important to also highlight a bit of the struggles, right? Because it's not always sun and rainbows and, yeah, unfortunately. And
It's
I
not
think
always the Wizard of Oz. It's not always
no,
a yellow brick road with a rainbow at the end and you get
dang.
to go home. No, it's not. As an
Yeah.
arts organization post-pandemic, we have faced, a plethora of challenges. Audiences have not come back in the numbers that we're attending. And that's not just us. That's, pervasive throughout the entire arts industry right now. So we're contending with that. We're contending with, a political landscape that is quite scary when you think not just of uh, the over 500 anti-LGBTQ pieces of legislation or laws enacted across this country at this very moment. That seems almost, when you try to wrap your head around that in 2024, that much exists, right? That much hatred, ignorance, lack of respect, lack of just wanting to engage, but yet actively, actively suppressing an entire community. And it's not just our community, but I know we're talking about community. So we're constantly coming up against that. And, that has a trickle down effect, right? And that's why our, youth education program Rhythm is so important, because we're able to also address that at the middle school and high school and even elementary level by having those conversations with young people. But if you want to look at the issues, we're constantly, having to be in sort of a fighting mode, just to be seen as equal. I can't believe I just said that, but that is actually, a truth. And so, we fight for our identity from the moment we come out, to be accepted, to be acknowledged, to be seen, right? And that just, it's a journey that for queer people doesn't ever end. And you see that on the news and you see that in, the way politicians speak. So for us, that is, that is at our core what we continue to fight against. And then, of course, there is, like I said, the return of arts and culture post pandemic, and how challenging that has been. So those are, I think, two of the, I could go on, but I'll leave it there because I think those are the two biggest challenges that we as an arts organization are contending with at the moment.
But I think it paints a clear picture of what, if, anyone listening to this podcast series, all the episodes one after the other, like binge watch them, we're going to hear we speaking about the same issues, right? It's really crazy that we are still discussing it on those levels, but it is the truth. It is what's going on. And I feel like this intersection of prejudice and talking about the art field, which we know that sometimes do not receive all the funding that it should, or the protection that it should, or even all the visibility that it could have. It really makes it much, much more complicated. So actually, thank you, Chris, for bringing this to us, because it really helps us understand better the pitfalls, the problems, the issues that lie in being in the spearhead of this kind of change, right? So yeah, I think it's really important. But now, considering that all of our listeners are now engaged in this conversation with us, I feel like it's an important moment to ask about what would be the best ways to help you guys keep going forward. Maybe donations, just go watching you guys, how that works, what would
All
be
of
the best
it, all
way?
of it. You can visit our website, sfgmc.org, and learn more about the work that we're doing with our rhythm program in high schools and middle schools across the Bay Area. You can learn more about the Chan National Queer Arts Center, which really is a beacon of hope and a haven for queer artists and queer arts organizations here in San Francisco. And absolutely, if you feel called to contribute and donate and support the work that we're doing, we would be so appreciative. And if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, we'll be listing all of our performances very soon. Our holiday concerts, we perform, throughout San Francisco, the East Bay and Berkeley, throughout Northern California. And so there are lots of performance opportunities to see the chorus. And there's a lot of performance opportunities as well here in the Queer Arts Center that will be launching our second season later in September. Gosh, that's next month. So there are a lot of opportunities to see and hear the chorus and see and hear incredibly talented queer artists who you may or may not know, and numerous ways to support the work that we're doing here. And it's not just here in San Francisco, as I said earlier, but it's across the country, right? Being able to go to Iowa and Nebraska and Minnesota and elevate and support communities there. We are not in this alone. And I think that was an unspoken mandate sort of given to us by our founders 47 years ago, that we are here to lead, to support, to foster love and compassion within our community and strive for a more equal and just society for all queer people.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Chris. This was a great, great conversation.
Thank you. I love talking about the amazing work of the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. So thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, really. And for everyone listening or watching us right now, thank you so much as well for staying with us for this more episode. And remember, if you liked it, press subscribe on YouTube or the podcast app. Share these episodes with your friend, with your family, with anyone that you think would like this conversation, because that shows the algorithms that this is an important conversation. And then we can spread the word about the importance of the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. We're going to add the link to the website that Chris shared with us on the description of this episode. So you have no excuse to access it, get more information, and reach out if you can. All right. Bye-bye. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, Danny.